you think it's your strength that might help someone, but it's actually maybe your vulnerability that helps someone more than you think your knowledge of the tax code, you know?
I mean, absolutely. They can always find an expert in any field like that.
That's right.
But it's the empathy side of things. Not sympathy is feeling sorry for someone that you've never been through it. Empathy is when you've been through it together.
Yeah.
And when you share an empathetic moment with somebody and they can connect on that level with you, it's unlike anything else.
I've said before, one of my therapists used to say you know what the most powerful emotion on the planet is? Empathy. And that's where connection is. Welcome to Under the Knife, the podcast where we cut into topics such as politics, life advice, and medicine, and we do this with the precision of a licensed orthopedic surgeon. I'm your host, Dr. Krewe Green, an orthopedic surgeon and elected public official. The Dixon McMakin. You know, in your phone, in my phone, you are the Dixon. I don't know that many people have a name like just... I'm not the Craig.
Well, in my phone, you are.
I'm the Craig?
The doctor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're the Dixon. We have the Dixon McMakin. Welcome.
Because you know so many.
Yeah. So what do we call you now? Is it Mr. Representative or?
Just Dixon.
Dixon? Okay.
Just
All
Dixon.
Right. Congrats on your victory.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Now, what happens that the car caught the dog?
Yeah, what do you do now? No, you get
the
to
dog
work.
caught the car.
Yeah, you get to work, really excited.
Yeah.
Of course, elected official as well, and all the people we know in our lives. Of course, your dad as well was a former state senator, and all the people we know will kind of tell you the same thing. Take it slow, sit back, watch, learn, but at the same time, remember why you went there in the first place and who you represent.
So have you been assigned any committees yet?
We have not. We turned in our form, so we will get those. Speaker designee de Villiers has said we will find out January 9th, the day after we're sworn in.
Gotcha. Are you excited, scared, nervous, all of it? Should be a combination, I'm sure.
All the above. You campaign for so long. So I campaigned for over 400 days. And that was a long period of time. And so now once you are elected, then your focus has to transition from, you're no longer campaigning. You got elected. Now it's go legislate and go learn that process as well. And I'm lucky to be around. Of course, I'm taking over for Scott McKnight, who took over for Coach Steve Carter. And so between those two guys, I learned so much from them. And then I also have, pretty neat, I am the only elected official legislature that has two statewide elected officials in their district. So incoming insurance commissioner Tim Temple, voter, and Secretary of State Nancy Landry both live in my district. So that puts a little pressure on you, too, to not let the statewide people down.
Well, pressure's good.
Absolutely.
Do you feel comfortable sharing how we met?
How we met?
Yeah.
So there was an accident I had downtown.
Tell us how that happened. That's great.
I thought I was Michael Jordan, and I was trying to jump down some steps.
I thought it was at a crawfish boil.
It was.
Cook-off.
Yeah, crawfish cook-off. We had just won the People's Choice.
And it was a celebration, right?
Which means we did not win for how we cooked the crawfish, but just how we were in the crowd.
Right.
And, I got a little excited, and I jumped down some steps, tried to do like the Michael Jordan airman jump. Yeah. Landed.
Pop.
And pop.
Yep.
And called a friend of mine, Dr. Chad Sanji, orthopedic in Arkansas, one of my close friends. I said, hey, I just broke my knee. And he goes, no, you don't break knees. He goes, what happened? I heard a pop. I fell. He goes, yeah, man, your ACL, meniscus, no doubt. Go see a doctor. Went to your clinic, that night, I think, or the next day. And then we just, so many connections we have. Danny Warfel, Florida football, the Craig Green, politics, and all that. And just our relationship now has been fantastic.
I don't have many patients that I have framed on the wall, but there's a version of you that I have framed on the wall. You want to tell us about that journey, that part of your chapter of your life?
My mom's from Memphis, so I'm an Elvis fan through and through. And the LSU Elvis was a thing I did back in the day. He might come back.
About 10 years, was it?
Yeah, he might come back. Got to lose a little weight. To fit back in the suit. Fat Elvis.
Now, would you sing as well?
No, not so much. But I did a lot of the dancing, kiss. I did a lot of charity work. And that actually helped in the campaign. A lot of people remember that I would show up at a birthday party, at an event, just to make people smile. That's honestly what it was about, to make people smile, have a good time. And they remembered that. So, on the wall, you and I took the most famous photo in presidential history is Nixon meets Elvis, and so we
and that was it.
We redid that one, shaking the hands.
That's right.
I think if you go in operating room B, maybe at your office,
that's where it is.
You'll find it.
Yeah. Well, tell us about. You're fairly educated too, right? Law and business school.
So yeah, LSU. I was at LSU for 8 years.
Okay.
And when you first tell that to people, like, man, not the smartest guy.
Well, isn't there a movie with Chris Farley? What was that movie? So, yeah, plenty of people go to school for 8 years. Yes.
They're called doctors. Yeah. So LSU undergrad, Bachelor of General Studies. Actually, Shaquille O'Neal, Matt Flynn, we all have the same degree. So I tell you that all the time. You're right? Yeah. See? So Matt Flynn, I always give him credit. He would come to LSU Athletics. I worked for Skip Burtman and Joe Oliva. He would come up to me, like, Matt, help me through my degree. What do you got? He'd tell me the great classes that he enjoyed. Yeah. I literally have colored with Trendon Holiday in a class. Demetrius Byrd, Charles Scott, Keelan Williams. That was the era I was there at LSU, a good time, and stuck around. Got the JD MBA, so a dual program.
How long does that take? 4
years together.
Really?
And just learned so much, and now practicing lawyer, not a trial lawyer, which I had to maintain on the campaign trail that whole time, but I do estate work. I call it dead people law, trust, wills, estates, and a financial advisor here in town as well.
And now you added another feather to your cap.
Yeah, state rep.
Yeah.
State rep elect.
You still got to make a living though, right?
Yeah, so it's just a part-time gig. When you're in session, of course, it does take up a majority of your time, and that was something, as you know, when you run, you got to ask your family, your friends, your bosses, hey, this is
How's
something.
This gonna work?
How are we going to do it? Are you okay with it? And then I think everyone saw the passion I have for serving. I love a term I learned from a mentor of mine. He calls it citizen democracy.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. Do you know who said that one?
Who said that?
Yeah, you.
I know.
And it's just so great that the average citizen, the guy that's the business guy, just the person that's out there to go serve and to bring that practicality to the big capital means a lot.
Well, and I think it's as long as possible, we should have a foot in the normal world. Because that's a bubble that gets pretty toxic pretty quickly if it's only politics, don't you think?
And I was so lucky with the financial advisor job, doing a lot of 401ks, retirement plans. I talked to all those business owners, those people that are having those struggles with the taxes, with the codes, with the regulations, and to hear practically from them. It's not a theory to me. Like the people are actually there telling me,
this is real.
If I had my inventory in Mississippi, how much more money I would save every year. I love Louisiana. I want to stay here. But you guys, people at the Capitol, you aren't making this easy on me.
Right.
So let's try to go fix some of those things.
Right. Well, it's a formidable challenge, and I think everybody should, or I wish everybody could serve and run. It takes a lot to run. I mean, but I also think it should be a sacrifice or a service, right? Yep. And not a self-service.
And so, the biggest term for me running or why you're running and all that stuff, a lot of it was timing. It really comes down to timing. Are you in the right position, age-wise, life-wise, financially wise? Do you have the backing of the people? And then are you even in an area where you can be elected? There's some people that live in certain parts of the state and just their philosophies, the people around them are not going to elect them.
Right.
And so it's all that timing of where are you in that space. Scott McKnight just finished his first term, and he ran for state office, and that's why this seat became open. So if you think about it, Scott maybe should have still been there, and I was just going to be a guy knocking doors for him, and instead I'm knocking for myself.
Or for the people.
Yeah, so it was fun.
Now, you recently got married, is that right?
Yeah, we're on 6 months and 6 days today.
Okay. Still married?
Still married.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Good. I got to tell you about, I love patient stories. And I had this patient come in once, and I always ask old people, how long y'all been married? And these people, they were sitting like as far apart. They moved the chairs apart. And they've been married 53 years. And so I always ask, like, do you have any advice? And so this the lady, boy, she just starts talking, just going on and on and on. And just on and on. And then the man, he's sitting over here. He looks like a whooped dog, just kind of, And I go, well, sir, what about you? You got anything? And he goes, yeah. You just got to ride it out like it's a storm. So my sister was in the room and she heard it too. And so we joke every now and then, and that's true for just about anything, right? I mean, you just got to strap on and ride it out because it might buck a little bit along the way. We've been married 28 years.
Say, how long you and Kristen
We've been married 28 years this May. And when I was running for office, people would ask Kristen, and she's like, how long have you been married? And she'd tell them 24 or whatever. And she goes, happily for 21. Like if you total up all the happy months. But that's also pretty normal. I mean, it can't always be. We're
on 6 months. Bess Cashley is my wife. She's an anchor at WBRZ here in town. I was smitten day one. People that know me know the story. I told my brother-in-law, I think the next week, we were at Rufino's having drinks, and I told him, like, man, I think I found it's unbelievable. Like, I always told people I had this long list of everything I thought that wife should be. But at the bottom of that list, there was a star. And that star was what it was about. You had that spark, that thing. And I'm so blessed, so lucky. I tell her that every day, just how lucky I am to be her husband.
So you have a fascinating story and a fascinating journey. Tell us about some of the potholes along the way.
For the campaign life or just life?
Just life.
So, I think one thing that's pretty obvious, my name's Dixon, so I have a unique name. On the campaign trail and be like, hey, do you have tough skin to be in politics? I told him, I said, well, I was a fat kid growing up named Dixon.
So what do you think?
So, it's rhino skin all around me. Yeah. And so that was part of it. But about the journey, in leadership was first time I ever ran for office, whatever it might be, 6th grade. And I asked my mom all the time, like, why did I do that? I don't have a dad that was in politics. I don't have anyone in my family. My mom has an uncle that was a judge in Tennessee. And I didn't really know him growing up. But she said, hey, they told you about it and you wanted to go do it. And then I was so lucky that most of the years of my life, none of my friends ever competed with me for leadership roles. They always were like, Dixon, you're our guy. We're going to support you. None of us want to do it. And so thank you for taking the time, because people don't realize how much time it takes away from the normalness of life when you run for office or when you're elected. As true. As you know as well.
She's about to find
out. So we kind of made a rule that was 7 to 7, 8 to 8 every day. Was kind of, hey, I'm going to be at the office, or I'm going to be campaigning or doing something. Before that or after that, I needed to be home or be with her, unless it was a really dire situation or something very important to do that. Big part of my journey too. My parents got divorced when I was young, so I had to learn about a separated home and what that meant, getting through that as well. And then I've been very open about it. I suffer from depression almost my whole life, and getting through that, and just telling your producer here about my body image issues as well. Of I don't look like Craig Green, so when I look in the mirror, I see this Shrek-looking figure, and having to work through that as well. But each one of those challenges, you learn something about yourself, and you get a little bit stronger through them. The saying is, "This too shall pass," and if you always remember that, right now we're in December 2023. I don't know when this will air. Maybe in June of 24. You're so busy. How many of these you do now? But you always remember that lowest day you thought you had, and what do you know? You got through it.
Right. And look, thanks for opening up about that. I talk openly about. I love going to my therapist once a month. I look at it like Drew Brees had 3 coaches for a game they played 16, 17 times a year. Why can't I have one? Yep. And that's how I view it, as a coach, somebody that says, they can see the field or they can help with plays. I don't think that people had that 30, 40 years ago. And I think the more people can just be aware of their mental health, a lot of times, unless you can say, wait a minute, I need help, then you're going to stay stuck,
Every day, I love to quote, I forget his name, one of the coaches at LSU. Every day you're getting better, you're getting worse. Yep. Because if you stay the same, you're falling behind. Because everyone else around you, or whatever you're trying to be, should be getting better. So if you stay the same, you're getting worse. So every day, whatever that is, just get a little bit better,
just a little bit
along
better.
the way. And another part is spirituality with me. We call it the DSAT, Dixon Spiritual Advisory Team. We got some people in that group.
You gotta have a squad.
Yeah, every day I get a message from some people, just some Bible quotes. I'm in 2 different Bible studies. Even the Friday before I got married, we were in New Orleans. I drove back to be with my Bible study. Yeah. They're like, what are you doing here? I was like, you thought I was going to miss y'all and y'all having the opportunity to pray over me before I
do this?
Go get married.
Yeah. No, that's what it takes. The journey, the faith journey, is not one you could do alone. Yep. And so, you got to have it. But, and I think faith intertwines in that. Like, you can try to just cover up some sadness sometimes with faith, but certainly there are also answers in faith as well. I think it's a mixture. I'm certainly thankful for the professionals as well. Yeah.
You included, you're part of my doctor team. It's very honest, So when it was funny, I met with the hospital group on the campaign trail, and they were like, so how do you feel about medicine and all this? Like, well, let me just tell you who all my doctors are. And I went like body part by body part. They're like, wow, you got a lot of people. I said, yeah, we call it a tribe. It takes a little bit of everybody doing their role, and especially focusing on what they do and what they do well, finding that person. So letting them work their best in a certain area is kind of how I like to operate.
Well, don't you think that the adversity that you overcame built the strength that you currently have, but it's also in preparation for more adversity? My mom used to always tell me, like, when I was going through something hard, "Oh, you're building character," and at some point I was like, "Mom, when can I stop building character? Can I have enough? I'm tired of these trials." And sure enough, there's just more come,
And it never stops. And, I don't know the medical stuff on this, right? When you're building muscle, I remember Coach Weiner at Catholic High all the time, like, you got to strain and tear that muscle.
And come back stronger.
Yep. And so every time you're doing that is something you're doing along the way. And just try to remember it too, right? Don't try to forget your bad days.
That's right.
Try to remember them. Try to think about those times when you thought there was rock bottom or this adversity you went through that you never thought you would experience.
Right.
And you did. At the same time, use those when you see someone going through something to help share that as well.
That's right.
I can't, the amount of people that I've shared my journey with along the way in different aspects come to you, thank you for, I didn't know someone else had that, or I didn't know someone else went through that. And you kind of look at them like,
isn't it amazing that you think it's your strength that might help someone, but it's actually maybe your vulnerability that helps someone more than you think your knowledge of the tax code,
I mean, absolutely. They can always find an expert in any field like that.
That's right.
But it's the empathy side of things. Not sympathy is feeling sorry for someone that you've never been through it. Empathy is when you've been through it together.
Yeah.
And when you share an empathetic moment with somebody and they can connect on that level with you, it's unlike anything else.
I've said before, one of my therapists used to say what the most powerful emotion on the planet is? Empathy. And that's where connection is. And I think people long for a connection, There's some pump fakes out there.
Yeah.
With connections, but being vulnerable and authentic, I think, is where you really get to really.
I think it was Chinese, Japanese proverb or saying or something. There's 3 masks you show people: the one that the full world sees, the one that only your close inner circle sees, and the one that only you see. And the more times you can break down to get closer with people in that third mask and relate to them on that level, it's a game changer for everybody. Who knew we were going to? I thought we were talking politics today, and look, we're going
about life.
We're going deep dive.
This is Under the Knife, where we dissect life.
Under the Knife, yeah. Lexapro next. We'll talk about my prescription. It's fine.
Hey, be open about it, right? Yeah. So you just mentioned the 3 masks. I think a lot of people don't even realize that they have a mask on. It's like their false self or the self they try to portray to other people. How did you discover that mask that you had on yourself, and how did you take that mask off to start saying, I need to work on that?
Yeah, I think it obviously with time and realizing in those situations where you were, something I always found interesting, taking leadership tests throughout all the years. I come back as a 10-10 introvert. And that doesn't mean you're shaking your head like everybody does. But what that means is, how do you regain your energy, your inner energy? What does that mean? And so when I kind of realized, look, when I'm out there performing or doing things, but really, when do I gain my energy back? And that's just when I'm by myself. There's a bar here in town. I go sit in the corner. What are you doing over here? I'm like, this is more what I like to do and just watch and see people. And so when you got to first, I think, learn about yourself. So it's okay to take those tests, go on retreats, pray a lot, and learn about yourself. And then when you slowly start doing it and you let more people in on that second mass, the one that usually only your close friends, family know about, let some people in that maybe normally you wouldn't let in, and you see the reaction they have for it. And then you feel maybe you gain that confidence to say, okay, maybe I need to take it a step further with some people. And what I've noticed is you can feel it. Man, you can feel it. When you know who you are, you start sharing, people start connecting. There's something about when you meet someone. I can't tell you a true story. I was at the Bulldog here in town. I was with this young lady and saw her, a friend of mine, and I just go, hey, how are you? And her response was, oh, okay. I go, no. How are you?
Seriously.
And she just started crying. And I'll never forget that, because she knew that I saw past her first mask.
Yeah, the first mask.
She knew that I was asking her about that other one, and we had known each other long enough to where she felt comfortable. Then the next day we went and had coffee, and just went through it. And
it can be a fragile place,
Yep.
you know.
There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of negativity sometimes hiding back that third mask.
Everybody has a story.
And everything, like you said, therapy and all the therapy I've done in my life, I'll never forget we were at a group setting, and everyone put all their stuff on the yellow table. There was a yellow table. We were at a group setting, and I remember thinking to myself, okay, like they said, give me mine back. Give me mine back. But the reason you want yours back is because that's what you know. When other people are putting their stories in there, like I mentioned, my parents got divorced, but I have phenomenal parents. They love me. I have a sister that adores me. I have step family that is just awesome. I have a great wife, and all that. So other people's story was not my story. But when you're so used to just your story, that's why you're like, I'll take mine back. Because the new stuff scares you. But sometimes you got to go learn about the new stuff and understand those people.
The new you.
And then you're growing. You're ripping a new little muscle there.
That's right.
And coming back stronger.
That's right. Last question. If you had to tell your 25-year-old self 3 pieces of advice, what would that be?
25? Okay. I've never done it at 25.
How old are you now?
I'm 37.
All right. Yeah, let's say 20.
Okay.
25.
Okay.
Because at that point, you're out of school, but you probably hadn't found your pace yet.
Let me tell you the earlier one, because that one I've done before many times. Like, what would I tell the 13-year-old Dixon? Right, that one I've done plenty of times. Is you're not always going to be fat.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Okay.
Eventually, a girl might want to kiss you. It's okay, and you're going to go on and be a state rep.
Yeah.
And I think that young kid would be like, "Wow, really?
Awesome.
Wow, okay, so cool." All right, so let's get to that middle age after grad school guy. Just got dumped. Let's talk to that kid, right?
Okay.
Ooh, man. You're going to fall in love with an amazing woman. You're going to have people, old and young, that will look to you for advice. And not about your brain, but about your spirituality. And 3, you're going to have family that just absolutely loves you and supports you through everything.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. Man, thanks for being on Under the Knife. Where can people find you? DixonMcMakin.com.
That website will now house everything. Go look me up. Then, of course, we get sworn in January 8th, and we'll start in March. There might be a special session or 2.
Yeah.
So please reach out. Whatever we can do to help. Our office is going to be one that's going to work hard for Baton Rouge and to leave it better and greater than we first got there.
Well, man, look, thanks for being on and sharing your story and your life. Go get them.
Thanks, Doc. Have a good one.
Take care. Thank you for joining us today, and a big thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in to this surgical exploration of politics, healthcare, and life. I've been your host, Dr. Craig Green. Remember to stay informed, stay sharp, and join us next time to see which of life's topics we'll dissect under the knife.